Providing my people with facts and information that say that the current way of life for the majority of Black Americans is not serving us. I'm going off of the data and the facts. I am not okay, and I don't think it's okay, that the vast majority of Black Americans, again, overpopulate, disproportionately.
Hey, Shalom. Start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Racha, Hakodash, double honors to our apostles who are elders who rule well. Blessings and salutations to you brothers out there teaching and enduring truth and sincerity. This Robert Mouth, Nebraska camp. And I just wanted to go over, the wiles of the devil. Because I believe I'm going to put up in post-production, but there's a woman, pretty much speaking on how to win from within. You know what I'm saying? And that's the video, the lesson, the point I want to drive home is there is no winning from within. Okay? And I just want to bring this truth. Of course, you should know this. Everybody should know this as men and women of the Lord that, ain't no joining them. If you can't beat them, join them or win from within type of mentality. And we're going to bring out some historical accounts to show you that that's BS, specifying around the civil rights movement, because the thing is that, the civil rights movement in itself was more of an incorporation tactic, because Jake never wanted to be incorporated. They just wanted to have their own, like a human being. All right. They wanted to just be free. They wanted to make their own money. They wanted to have their own business. They didn't want to be a part of America, for lack of better words, but they wanted their part in America. Okay. So it ain't like it was a rebellion thing. It's like I'm minding my business, doing my thing. I don't want to have to, wear your suits. I just want to be able to have a company that I can make suits that I like, So I ain't going to drag that out. But let's get this precept here. We're going to go into Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2. It says, "Thus said the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them." So when you're talking about, the heathen, they have their own culture. And when we talk about culture, we're talking about, law, statutes, and commandments. Okay, we're talking about direction. We're talking about values. Okay, and their foundation is different. Our foundation is the Bible. The way we lend, the way we treat each other, things of that nature, is totally adverse. Okay, from Esau. All right, and we'll get that as well. So we're going to go into verse 12 in particular. Okay, it says, therefore, Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2, verse 12, Salakia. It says, "Therefore let us lie in wait for the righteous, because he is not for our turn, and he is clean contrary to our doings. He upbraideth us with our offending in the law, and objective our infamy, the transgressions of our education." You see? So, and that's what we're doing. We're the righteous that, are offended, but we don't have any power to establish an offense or, express that offense and manifest it, because we don't have no power. We can't make a law. We can't make a legislation. We can't police it. We can just express our opinions, but that's just as far as it goes. Ain't no different from, a child telling his parent, "I want candy," to us complaining and telling the government what they should and shouldn't be doing, because we don't have no power, no authority in this world, because Esau is, which is the wicked, is ruling this world right now. All right. And we're next up, thus says the Lord. But what we're going over now is that, we're not trying to incorporate. We're not trying to separate. All right. We're trying to go according to the Lord's will, which is ultimately to establish the order on planet Earth, not only order within the social market, within race, gender, things like that, but also economically. Okay. There's going to be Sabbaths, land Sabbaths, going to be Jubilees. There's going to be things that creates a homeostasis of an ecosystem. Esau has poison at homeostasis, and when he breaks one part, he creates something to fix that part, which then affects another part. Then he creates something to fix that. Okay, just like he'll create a car just so you can travel, but then the CO2 emissions and the factories and the nuclear. But then when you want to, get a clean earth, and then now you want to do CO2 trees, and then now you ain't growing trees, not a ground fire. Like it'll be like that, and that's why the scriptures say if the world would not save for the elect saved, there should no flesh be saved. All right, because Esau has no end. So when we go into the same chapter, chapter 2, verse 7, the Wisdom of Solomon says, "Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments." You see, and let no flower of the spring pass us by. So they wanna enjoy everything, and in order to enjoy everything, they have to distract everybody else so they can eat everything off the table. They want everybody at the kids' table while they at the big table. So with the reason why I'm bringing this up is that the system that this woman is vehemently trying to advocate our people to get into, there is no, it's a death trap, all right? And these same type of people have been around historically, and even more egregious possibly because, like I said, somebody like when we're dealing with the civil rights movement, Rosa Parks is somebody I wanted to speak on and bring out a couple of examples on how, these people, the NAACP was founded, I believe, by W.E. Du Bois, and it's funded, by the Rockefellers, okay? They call it philanthropy, but that's really control via money, okay? You fund them, that's why all these people start funding people, and proof of that is when Yale, I think it's Yale, wasn't Yale, one of these prestigious, I think it was like Harvard or Yale, one of them, and they, started speaking on, like saying free Palestine, and them small hats started pulling their funds. And guess what? That's college then told them students that they can't practice their free speech, okay? And go your ass back to class because you're messing up that bread. You know what I'm saying? That funding. And the Rockefellers were funding the NAACP. So my point is that they had their hands on choosing and choosing the direction and the pace of things, okay? Because people are and can be corrupted, especially our people, all right? And I wanted to bring that out, but I'll just get it. All right. So I was there's this book, man. It's a little simple book, but it's a good one. I've checked a lot of it. Some of it is hard to find because Esau is going to bury some information. But this is Black AF History by Michael Harriot. Okay, and this is proof you can't win from within. In the chapter, it says the excerpt is the women who desegregated Montgomery buses. It says, so there's a woman, I'm going to just jump ahead all of that. There's a woman that pretty much in the civil rights or Jim Crow era, okay, they were riding buses and pretty much she was tired and she wanted to sit down. And now this is one point is that Jake mainly rode the buses. This wasn't a thing. Esau wanted to create, not Esau, but Amalek, the small hats, which he is Esau, wanted to, integrate his one world government idea, or the rich elite bankers ultimately, you know what I'm saying? So a part of the civil rights is a part of that. They're binding religion, they're binding culture, they're binding races, okay? And ultimately they're gonna combine money and resources. Okay, but the point is that, they funded them and they chose people. Matter of fact, I'm going to get it real quick. But the chick, Claudette, her name was, you can look it up, man, Claudette Colvin, okay, on March 2nd, 1955, She was the person that first actually, she was the real person, but they chose Rosa Parks because she was light-skinned with good hair. All right, and then what they pretty much did was set it all up to have lawyers ready. The bus driver knew, he knew the route. They all had it set up to come at this particular stop, and then we're gonna do this, and then these guys are gonna react this way. You know, it's like, you know, like the cars they leave out that you can steal. It's pretty much a setup like that. You know what I'm saying? And you know, when they did that, then they used their lawyers to then, you know, sue and create situations. All right. So within this, I'm gonna read this real quick. It says, Salakia, because I don't wanna, I ain't gonna read too much of it. I got something else I'm gonna read because I don't wanna read too much of this. It says, so that the woman Claudette pretty much got beat up and all that. So it says, when you go to Susie McDonald, all right, known around Montgomery as Miss Sue, owned a pavilion in a city where black residents could gather without fear of racial intimidation. When Miss Sue was arrested for violating Montgomery's bus rules in October 21st, 1955, she was in her 70s and could pass for white. McDonald's, however, had made sure to inform the driver that she was indeed a black woman before she sat down. That same day, 18-year-old Mary Louise Smith was arrested. So there's a bunch of women. It says, unlike Colvin Browder, McDonald, Smith, and Reese, Parks planned her protest. She served as a secretary for the Montgomery chapter of the NAACP. NAACP ain't nothing like no different than a boule, man. It's just a hub for controlled opposition. Okay, a place that you can feel like, okay, I could run to and get some help, but it really don't solve the problem or the true issue. Okay, they may solve a case here and there, but they ain't making no legislations. They ain't making nothing that's beneficial to Jake outside being incorporated into Babylon. All right. So so it says that had participated in civil rights activism for more than a decade. So she is already going around, just like Esau have their crisis actors. They had civil rights actors, man. That's all it was. And I'm not downplaying, you know, what was going on, how Esau was treating Jake. But what I'm pointing out is that there was some bull BS in the midst of that pushed us into this new era going closer towards the one world government. You know what I'm saying? Because just Jake could take civil rights as a place of pride and winning from within and getting your education. But you don't know this stuff goes way deeper than that, man. Why you gotta be a part of somebody to be somebody? Okay? Us as Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, the elect of them, we're prophesying of deliverance and getting into our own land. Not only that, but governing the world. But if that even with Slakia to even say it, because that's the glory that the Lord has bestowed for us. But even if that wasn't the case, we just want to be around. We just want to do. That's what everybody want to do. Nobody want to hang around everybody that's different from you. You just think that that's normal because you were raised up in this place, man. Okay? Because at the end of the day, even though we all live amongst each other, we don't live amongst each other. You know, you might have a few, but I'm talking about as races. No, Jake stay over here, Esau stay over there. If Jake stay over here, and Esau stay over here by you, they separate, you know what I'm saying? And that's just it. It's even worse nowadays with the internet and social media. You guys are in your own house and you'll never talk to them. You know? But that's neither here nor there, man. But I just wanted to point out that historically that there's like a particular Rosa Parks situation was set up, and the backstory is really they didn't want the fat black woman. She was a single mother, a pregnant single mother with no husband, and it was it said that they was talking about her breast size and all that, so assumably she was big. You know what I'm saying? And I say assumably because it doesn't speculate. I didn't look that deep into Claudette. But the point is that her face didn't fit the description to get what they needed across. And that's not how it's supposed to work. You're not supposed to sit there and try to find the coolest looking motherfucker to make something happen. You know what I'm saying? Now sometimes it is the case, but not maliciously to try to create legislations. It says, we are therefore, I'm going to read this next excerpt. It says, we are therefore asking every Negro to stay off the buses Monday in protest of the arrest and trial. Don't ride the buses to work, to town, to school, or anywhere on Monday. You can afford to stay out of school one day. If you have no other way to go to accept by bus. You can also afford to stay out of town for one day. If you work, take a cab or walk. But please, children and grown-ups, don't ride the bus at all Monday. Please stay off all buses Monday. So they was setting it up. Everybody get off the bus. All niggas get off the bus. Rosa Parks, you to be the only nigga get on the bus. We got to make sure. We got to corner. We got to isolate. All right. So I'm gonna read this last excerpt, and then I got another one I'm gonna read, and then we'll top it off with that. It says, Nixon and others wouldn't even consider a woman leader. Rosa Parks wasn't even allowed to speak at the meeting. Nixon suggested a younger face for the movement. Nixon suggested a younger face for the movement. Okay? Nominating the new pastor at Dexter Avenue Baptist Church, the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Unlike the women who had stood up for their rights, King was reluctant. He wanted a more low-key position that would not upset the city's leadership, but after Nixon threatened to expose him as a coward, King accepted the role with a few conditions. As a leader of Montgomery Improvement Association, King did not demand that the city integrate buses. The MIA called for a first-come, first-served seating, more African-American drivers on predominantly black routes, and courteous treatment of black residents. Because Martin Luther King was charismatic. That's what he was. Okay, that ain't no different from Tupac. That nigga, he just was a cult of personality. Like Jake be uplifting these niggas, but these niggas are controlled opposition. Like there was a statement that said, let me see, there won't be a black messiah. The Africans won't have a black messiah unless we make them. Okay, and Jake get into these so-called black messiahs that create concepts and directions, and then make you religious to it. Oh, I'm gonna be a business person because W.E. Du Bois told me I can win from within, and I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna fight, and you just a hamster on their wheel, because you're never gonna make it to true peace. You're gonna get deep into that layer or that tunnel that they told you was gonna lead to a rainbow, and you're gonna see it as lonely and bitter. Okay, because that type of life you gotta deny your family, and that's the Lord told us to be fruitful and multiply, man. The true value of living every year is watching kids grow up, is enjoying and seeing things and having experiences, not showing up to work every fucking day. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't saying that your whole life should be parlaying and having fun. I'm talking about you when you gardening, like go to work with your family. You know what I'm saying? If you're a farmer, that's different. You know what I'm saying? But if you work and you have memories, and you have memories with people at work, you're supposed to have that with your family, man. Like I do about supervisor. I do a lot about my supervisor, and I ain't even been in their house. Although they stay at, I ain't never see their kid, but I know tendencies and all kind of things. This is how bugged out it is, man. We're familiar with people we don't even want to know. But all this wicked ass integration, man. I know this dude up and down, and this girl up and down, and how their tendencies are, and I take that information and do what with it? Go home and say, fuck them? That's a waste of my time knowing these people. I'd rather be around my family and make money with my people. And I ain't going to say make money with my people hypothetically. That's what I'm saying. I want to live and be around my people in the time that I'm invested is productive towards our people. And that's the time we're headed in the kingdom of heaven. It ain't going to, because we're going to already be established. Because productivity ain't going to need to be done. It's just really order and peace, which is a glorious thing, So I'm going to read from, this book called Medical Apartheid in chapter 8. And the name of the chapter is The Negro Project. It says, Margaret Sanger, born to a Corning, and if you're not familiar with Margaret Sanger, she was a person that supported eugenics. Eugenics is an idea, that, there's a superior race that is, of the Edomites. And, they believed in all this, when people say, oh, that person's dumb, they shouldn't have babies. That's a eugenic concept. And it sounds fair, but it's fucked up, you know what I'm saying? Because it's hypocritical, because the person that says that you could be anybody, they then says you're not smart unless you do learn what I know. You know what I'm saying? You're not, just like in this society, you're not a good person if you don't act like an Edomite. You know what I'm saying? Like in the general population way to be accepted, you have to be more of an Edomite. Once you start showing more of your culture, then that's when less people like you, even your own. You know what I'm saying? And that's hypocritical of them, even though that's how it's supposed to be. The whole world's supposed to act a certain way. You know what I'm saying? And there should be a standard, and that standard is the ways of the scriptures, which everybody's going to go back to that. But in this society, they like to perpetuate that everybody should be loved no matter who they are. And that's bullshit, because they're not going to do that. They want you to act like them. And if you don't, when in Rome, do what the Romans do. And if you don't, you're a loser in some type of way, But the amount of people that were creators and thinkers just on a basic level or on a worldly level, were a lot of people that didn't get higher educations, okay? You know what I'm saying? So, but they want to tell people that because ultimately it's really a thing of programming. They want everybody to act one way. They want everybody to think one way. They want everybody to believe one way. So they're going to tell you what history is. They don't want you to go into other books and to other this and that and listen to this thing and that thing. They want you to listen to this one information hub. And once they get everything onto a digital platform, they're going to be able to control that. You ain't going to be able to go, you ain't going to be able to go to a library and say, okay, let me get this book. No, we don't want you to read that book, man. That book has things in it we don't want you to know anymore. No, I'm going to read this book. I physically have it. You can't stop me from getting the book. But if this book is, if we only can get books from a digital place, because we can't get to no libraries for whatever reason, and then we already know they're going to have their little cities where certain people can access them libraries, access them vacation areas, access real food, feed you 3D meat, you know what I'm saying? But you'll have access to that stuff, but can you pay for it? That's how they'll buy you out indirectly, but that's me digressing. But getting back to it, so Margaret Sanger was a popular eugenics supporter, okay? So, and remember, the civil rights was 1955. All this happened around it was around the same time. I don't want to give a year, and it's not accurate, but it was around the same time, around the 1950s. So all this, the contraceptives, the mental warfare, the psychological warfare, all this came, and it was meant to further Esau's agenda. You know what I'm saying? Because the people that were behind everything, funding everything, pushing everything, goes back to the small hats. Okay? It's all about control. Okay? So I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. So there's a portion I just don't want to skip over certain hard points. But I'm going to get this point. It says the Negro number. Matter of fact, I'll go back a little bit. It says the year Margaret Sanger also discarded labels such as good or bad breeding stock Was it Margaret Sanger? No, it was a Havelock Ellis. It says, as she began researching birth patterns in Harlem, there was monitoring Jake, just like on that movie. Damn, man. Y'all know what I'm talking about with the clone Tyrone, man. You know, so have Jake under surveillance, watching you, checking your mannerisms. They don't want to send you to jail all the time. They watching your ass. They can make money off you in other ways, okay? So they're checking tendencies. They're putting shit in your food and sitting in your neighborhood and watching how your kids play at the park. You know what I'm saying? Find a superhero out, want to take him, kidnap him, and do shit to him, and utilize him and make him out of something or do something with him. You know? You never know. But it says where 224,760 of New York City's 330,000 African Americans lived. Singer entitled the June 1932 Birth Control Review the Negro Number, and she recruited black leaders to contribute articles in support of the eugenics cause. Okay? Again, she recruited black leaders to contribute articles in support of the eugenics cause. And that's the thing. There's a lot of, like, these other camps. It's the same shit, bro. That's why this is intriguing to me, because when you read about, you get to see the story. When you're living in a story, it's hard to see everything, but when you're reading about it and seeing it in history, it's like it's all mapped out already. And we're seeing what these sellouts do and how they set it up. Just follow the money. You know, videos start having commercials. You start doing money influence things, and it start becoming about the gospel, start coming about economics and being here. That's what's so beautiful, to make a distinction of who's on point and who's not, is who's talking about getting out of here. You know, you talking about marrying and giving in marriage, making money, bums in bed sheets and all that. That ain't the will of the Heavenly Father. The will of the Heavenly Father is to get the hell up out of here. Why were you complaining about this area of this building if it's going to be destroyed? We're just in it to prophesy the downfall of it. Okay? And we just trying to keep our heads straight on. But getting back to it, it says, so Margaret Sanger recruited black leaders to contribute articles in support of the eugenics cause. Guess who she signed up? The National Association. Guess what was created? The National Association for Advancement of Colored People's founder, W.E.B. Du Bois, not what she created, but this connection, wrote, and Sanger often quoted, "The mass of ignorant Negroes still breed carelessly and disastrously, so that the increase among Negroes even more than the increase among whites is from that portion of the population least intelligent and fit and least able to rear their children properly." So the thing is that they was using this eugenics idea to castrate. They used to surgically castrate Jake, and then they went over to chemically castrating them through contraceptives. You know what I'm saying? And the whole thing was, you had niggas like W.E.B. Du Bois thinking they were super intelligent, all right? Learn not the way of the heathen, all right? You got so smart that you knew not the way of the Most High, pursuing back to Romans chapter 1, okay? And you thought you were so logical that you had a better way. But no, you've integrated into Esau's ways. Okay? And that's what when that video I was showing, she is so passionate, she really believes it. You know what I'm saying? But you're integrated. You're an educated fool. All right? That's what the graduate means, to be indoctrinated, sophomore, wise fool. Okay? But continuing on, all right, I'll read this because this is a good part. I'm gonna read these two chapters, man, because there was a Jake. Because what was going on, you had, just like us, we'll be saying, don't be taking that Maxine, don't be taking the MOTB. You got other camps that'll be attacking us in different ways to discredit us, but trying to push everybody in one direction. It's amazing how all these bug out camps is always pushing all these Jakes into one direction. And that's being like an American Israelite. There is none of them is like pushing you to prophecy. You know what I'm saying? They're all pushing in the same direction. It ain't because they're unified, because I believe they all bought off, man. And if they ain't bought off, they're trying to be. Like First Maccabees, since we left off, always been much grievous. You know? Can't tell me Tazariak is sitting down there and looking at his views and then looking at all these other guys and he's getting views and like, damn, I could make money off of this. You mean to tell me he ain't gonna, you know? Yeah, a nigga like that, yes. That's why he's sitting around with all these niggas, these wicked monsters, you know, and smiling and kikiing with them. But then you can express an extreme amount of hate for Jake that be fighting for the good fight. But your mentality is still attached to the world. It's really because, you know, our stance on the great doctrine, but not even great doctrine, a great scripture. All right, because it's another thing in itself, but Jake get offended, man. You know what I'm saying? The scriptures say what it say. Don't shoot the messenger, right? But I'm continuing on. It says, Charles S. Johnson, Fisk University's first black president, wrote that eugenic discrimination was necessary for blacks, and a dozen black writers agree in print. In January 1939, Sanger's African Birth Control League merged with the Clinical Research Bureau to form the Birth Control Federation of America, BCFA. Later that year, Sanger devised the Negro Project, which was established for the benefit of the colored people, specifically black women, who were being denied access to city health services. Now, he said they painted, oh, you need help, because there ain't nothing here for free. If something's for free, then you're the product. Okay? They'll sit here and charge you all that for chemo, but want to give you contraceptives for free. All these people got diabetes and heart issues and all this medication you got to go to and spend all the money on this medication, but you'll give out that jab for free en masse to the whole earth. To the whole earth, nigga. Like, they probably trying to get that to fucking motherfuckers in Cambodia on the island and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, trying to wire everybody in, boy. Yeah, man, he tripping. But Jake don't see it, man, because y'all so shallow, y'all listen to what they're saying in the moment. Oh, we're trying to help y'all because y'all can't get. Yeah, we can't get it. I get it, but Jake got to figure that shit out, man. Go learn how to be a doctor and go take care of yourself. But Esau stops that avenue. He blocks it off. Nobody wanted to be a doctor, be the best doctor in your shit. No, we need to take care of ourselves. Because we trust ourselves. Because Jake couldn't even trust them damn doctors, man. And that's the thing. That's why men don't go to the doctors to this day. It ain't because it's almost a ritualistic thing that happened and passed down after we was tormented and experimented on, and particularly it really lingered with the eugenics and the contraceptives idea, because the men knew that that's genocide. You trying to kill us off. But it backfired because he made a pit and digged it himself, and his woman ended up, being the main one to take that type of stuff. But they always try to control us sexually. Fucking weirdos, man. He was breeding us and shit. Then, you know what I'm saying? Saying we was hyper aggressive, so they was wanting to lynch us half the time. And then, y'all some nasty sexual deviant, so we got to castrate y'all. And everybody's like, yeah, castrate them. Ain't no different from calling you a thug, calling you a YN. Even though them niggas are niggas, but they created them niggas through their propaganda. They create these people, put them on blast, and say this is all Jake. Every time. They do it with the Most High. They cause us to sin, and then they go accuse us before our power, man. That's how wicked he is, bro. He'll even go to the Most High. He'll lie, trick us, and then go to the Most High and say, let's see, they fucking up. It's wild, bro. It says, but continue on, it says, these first experimental family planning centers sought to find the best way of reducing the black population by promoting eugenic principles and were also founded in black areas such as was in Macon County, Alabama, site of notorious PHS syphilis study. Du Bois, who suggested approaching black churches, declared them open and the open to intelligent propaganda of any sort, and added that her organization and other agencies ought to get their speakers before the congregations and their arguments in the newspapers. And this is a tactic that still goes on to this day. You get the articulate, charismatic Negro, and normally there's no way you could be a pastor in a church and not be charismatic. You have to have, you ain't gonna have a church. So the more successful your church is, that's a statement to saying that's the more charismatic I am. And you give people like that, get in their ear and give them a bag, and they're gonna say what you want to say. And then it spread out to social media to where it's easily located. It ain't like back in that day. You couldn't look on Instagram and see how many followers somebody had. You didn't know until you see them in a gathering, So now you can go to a Jake Paul or a celebrity and get in his ear and push it and have him say this or do that. Amalek, the Small Hats openly do it. They'll tell you, they pay celebrities, I think like 5 bands per pro-Israel post. Come on now. It's a propaganda machine. All to do what? It's all for control. Okay? All for control. But that's a different subject as well. But it says, let's see here, and added that her organization and other agencies, so this is the point I want to get, says Sanger took Du Bois' advice, writing the most successful educational approach to the Negro is through a religious appeal. We do not want the word to get out that we want to exterminate the Negro population, and the minister is the man that can straighten out the idea of it occurs to any of their rebellious members. You see what I'm saying? And Jake don't go to the hospitals and Jake don't go to churches. This is Eve, this is the church, the TV. You know what I'm saying? Eve mouth be open. Like how motherfucker under the beer tap. She under that motherfucker like that, drinking that juice, man. And every avenue, she go to church, big hat, she in the front, you know what I'm saying? Tight skirt. She you go to school, they're leading in school. Okay? You see whatever the fad is, the new thing, who else? The fight the baddie, the new wave, the new haircut, the new shoes. Teaching the niggas that way. You know what I'm saying? In the hospitals, running to the hospital, what the doctors say, the new thing, the news. You know what I'm saying? And Jake men has always rebelled. That's why they wanted Jake out of there. All this shit was all, man. Yeah, but it says she recruited the support of the luminaries as Adam Clayton Powell Jr. of the Bayesian. It's like I think I went too far. Yep. It says we do not want the Negro. To certain population. She recruited the support of such luminaries, Clayton Powell of the Bayesian Baptist Church, and later Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Sanger also wanted a black doctor, a social worker to staff the clinic, in order to gain black patients' trust. She assured that the doubtful BCFA that the black physician's authority would be limited, and he, like the clinic board members, would be chosen for tractability. His work, in my opinion, should be entirely with the Negro profession and the nurses, hospital, social workers, as well as the county's white doctors. His success will depend on his personality and his training by us. So, I could go on and on, but it goes in. It goes in. I'll be reading for hours, bro. That's how it'll hit back to back with points on how you shouldn't trust Esau, and we're going to end it with that, okay? Okay, so we're going to go into Sirach. Sirach chapter 12 and 13 says, who will pity, Salakia, matter of fact, I'm going to jump to 13, but Sirach 12 and 10, it says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness, okay? And it's pretty much going to come right back. So the point is, Jake be out here, oh, they ain't all of them. I might be reading about, oh, that's just the CIA, because the CIA was funding all this. I mean, a part of all this as well. The CIA was a part of this. The Rockefeller was a part of this. Margaret Sanger was a part of this. Eugenics. Okay? How is all this a part of this, but it's good for Jake? It didn't act like, oh, that was just them and everybody else that's living ain't doing it, so I should treat the whole Edomite population like that. No, the people that are in control, that's exacting laws and putting things into everybody's head that ain't pushing the agenda. He's already putting propaganda into their head that you are like that, or you are what they want you to, how they want to be treated. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, at the end of the day, even if they ain't like that and they were tricked, it's still dangerous to even try to, incorporate them. But the truth is, they want to be like that, so it's easy for them to adapt to it, and Esau knows it. He knows that, and all I got to do is tell you, because Esau has a complex. And that complex goes back to the birthright. But Esau probably found out it through a different way. But he like, man, them niggas, we really got a complex to these people. The whole world. All right? It's just that we don't know that, bro. We kind of think it. That's why we always trying to prove it. Because we know who we are. It's just that we can't prove it. So Jake be dunking on everybody and yelling and shit, trying to show everybody you worth something because he been treated like shit his whole life. And everybody's like, yeah, but you still ain't shit, because they want you to dance. They don't never want you to live in your power, because they know people like us, the way, not only physically, but the way we live culturally, eating-wise, how you take care of your neighbor, will show the whole entire planet Earth that the way that everybody's living is trash. Okay? And that's why Esau always get his hands on a lot of these poor Israelite countries, to make sure, even really poor countries, period, to let everybody know my way is the only way that works. Okay? Democracy is the only way. And if you try to set up a government, I'm going to infiltrate it, mess it over, and then show you that, so you can say, hey, that, and I say, look, that don't work. I told y'all, my way works. They're evil. You know what I'm saying? It's the wiles of the devil, man. But it says, verse 11, though he humbleth himself and go crouching, yeah, they come as philanthropists, the Rockefellers, with the, here it is, they're trying to chemically castrate you, and they say, I'm a philanthropist. I rode through your neighborhoods and see how poor you guys are. And I felt so bad that I just realized y'all didn't have health care. Just make it health care for free for everybody. Would the problem be solved? But you don't make money off of that. Nah, you seen a lick. You rode through there and said, look at all these niggas this is a lot of insurance policies I can create. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of checkups and experimenting and all kind of these bodies. These people see you as Goyim, man. Like Jake be acting like everybody see them as you want to see the earth. The world don't want to see you. Their world doesn't see you as you want to see it. It just doesn't. Esau is just evil. He's wicked. He's bad. Yeah, man, when you suffering and you want somebody to lighten the fuck up, man, like, you go hope that everybody will lighten up and hope that lightens everybody up. But no, it doesn't. You got to grab that boy by the neck, man. You got to fight your way out. And the Lord's going to give us the strength to complete the task. Well, not to complete the task, but to get us delivered, man. Okay? Because he's ultimately going to complete that task. All right? So it says, though he humbleth himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be in unto him as if thou hast wiped the looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust has not been altogether wiped away. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, people sitting there trusting, oh, y'all need help, I got y'all. The next thing you know, your ass getting your uterus cut out, you getting, alcohol poured on you, 300-degree water poured on your back, getting your jawbone taken out. Esau was wildin', bro. They had to stub toe, amputate your whole foot off. Like, it was wildin'. Like they was doing things that just to find out. All these products and things that we still use today, most of it came off of the experimentation of Jake. And it always was introduced as an opportunity to our people. Okay? So ain't no winning from within us, and they're not going to give an opportunity. Why would they? When they already have a complex of being superior to everybody. Okay? They're going to put you in a position where they can bird feed you until they don't need you no more. And they trying to do that to the whole planet Earth. They've been bird feed the whole planet Earth. Not even about to get this AI. It's about to be over with, boy. Like, but I don't know what they gonna do, boy. They gonna be a lot of niggas that don't deserve to live, boy. And they gonna make sure that happen. They already trying, and then now you they try to put themselves in a situation where draconian measures won't even be like seen as like, damn. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to have so much power and you're going to need them so bad that draconian measures will seem like a standard. It's crazy. But get back to it. It says, Sirach 12:12, set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy side, lest he seek to take thy seat. Yeah, because they'll sit there and say, "Oh yeah, well, we help you guys with the civil rights," and you know what I'm saying? Like, we actually was your friend, just like with the Democrats. Jake be thinking, Democrats is a part of eugenics. You know what I'm saying? Like that's that side. Push it. We your friend. We're gonna get you on food stamp. We're gonna keep you poor. We're gonna keep you in this. We need, because they need government contracts to mass produce things, okay? They need people with health care benefits, with a lot of people with health care, so y'all can take these new drugs that we got. We need to work on to see if they work or not. You know what I'm saying? Or we need to get this drug off and make it popular, or make it pop or sell. I got this drug. I know it works. Give it to them. You know what I'm saying? Sign them up for it. Put it on TV. This is the new thing you need. And then, yeah. If you go to the grocery store and you can't control yourself at the grocery line, you'll get it later. My point is, if you ain't got no discipline to understand some bullshit and you can't control your instincts, then you're gonna be in for some shit, man. Because Esau got a lot of tricks that he got coming down the pipe, and as much as you know the truth, it really is going to boil down to what type of man or Lord you are, man. Truly. It says, verse 13 says, so one that, it's like verse 13, who will pity a charmer when he is that is bitten with the serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beasts? So that means, Jake shouldn't be caring about, when y'all go down and everybody wants somebody to feel bad. And nah, nobody feel bad for Jake, for P. Diddy and shit like that. You went into that system. That's what happens. Even if they ODing, even if it ain't fair, man, you should have went over there. That's what happens. You know what I'm saying? It says, so one that goeth to a sinner and is defiled with him in his sins, who will pity? You see? All right, it says, for a while a man, he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not tarry. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagine how to overthrow thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first, and though he pretend to help thee, yet should he undermine thee. He will shake his head and clap his hand and whisper much and change his countenance. He gonna talk shit about you, point at you, a nigga, you a thug. You know Y'all poor. All y'all on child support. All y'all... nigga introduced y'all to, like Jake ain't even on child support. I mean, not child support, but food stamps like that. They on food stamps, but not as much as Esau, right? You know what I'm saying? And they just introduced it to Jake, and Esau ended up getting on it more than them. And then they just still push the narrative that Jake is on it, and then tell the same people that gave you child support, gave you food stamps, and the same people that's telling you that you ain't shit because you on it. You know? Like, yeah, they do that. Steal your shit, help you look for it. That's them, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, they really have you going for a loop. They even kill a random nigga next door and say he did it. You know what I'm saying? So they can keep on stealing from you. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So, hopefully this was edifying. With that being said, I want to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Racha HaKodash, double honor to our apostles who are elders who rule well. Blessings and salutations to you brothers at that teaching and enduring truth and sincerity. Shalom.